Okay, this is a kind of a design show and tell. I've been talking in my videos that utilize some deep space imagery, kind of some of the inspiration that I've had from them, but I thought I would actually show you instead of just kind of referring to that type of thing all the time. Um, this is the type of book that I have in my library here. Uh, I don't know, these types of things were always on, all kinds of different books on sale, in that bargain section at, like Borders and Barnes& and Noble type of thing. And I'm guessing that's where this type of thing came from. They had some really fantastic, hardbound books back in the day. I guess Barnes& and Noble's still around. Sky and Telescope, annual picture, I don't know, compilations, I'm guessing. Here's a 2005 through 2007 edition. So I haven't bought these types of things in a long time, but just some really spectacular visuals here. And I don't know, I always found these deep space types of images to be really inspiring in terms of kind of a, piquing someone's wonder or imagination, and kind of utilizing these types of things with landscape imagery. It can really give you a really nice kind of a dramatic type of whimsical visual, when you pair something like this with trees or something like that in the foreground, okay? But just look at that one right there. See that kind of that, how that trails like, it has that little bit of that kind of arc right there. So that's where kind of that arcing, kind of tapering came into play, and you can see it done in the stippled pen and ink work right there. The Big Dipper. This is how I use my white pigment ink around gel pen dots to get that little diffusion and glow in my sky imagery. Okay, so this type of thing that's going on down here, and this kind of glow going around here, this gas, glowing gas, that's where this type of thing came from. See this right here? This is the Tarantula Nebula. I don't call it that because it sounds weird, but that has that little star down here. But see these little 4-point stars? I really like how they photographed these types of things, and you can see the that 4-point star with that little circle going around it. I don't know if it's a filter that they often use with astrophotography or whatnot, but I don't know. I've tried to give these elements that same type of star. So let's see that kind of round type of thing coming off like that. It's better than just going with a dot there, so you add those types of things in there, and then it gives you that type of look. But look how, bright and glowing, light and glowing that is right there. It's really cool. I need to do some things where there's this kind of reddish-brown type of coloration in conjunction with the blue one right there. And look at this. This is a completely different color here. I often do it kind of in the same color scheme, but I really should break it up and go with the different colors right there. But I always love the Horsehead Nebula. Yeah. But anyways, things like this, that type of patterning, being created. You got to really stamp these out. I mean, we're not dealing with light, like these photographic images are. So we're dealing with reflected light. So we have to use contrast. So that's always the thing as a designer. To be able to build this out, it'd be a lot easier if I could just do this in a block of solid black, and then I can kind of, have this going out to the side. But it's always about transitions, so that this image here can be used more universally and be combined with other images. If I just had this solid black around it, like this photograph right here, right around here, that would be really hard to blend in with your surrounding area. So that's why I always do these transitions like this, and that's always kind of the thing that's really time consuming and has to be brought into consideration is how dense you make this space as it leads away from that central figure that's defined by light. It's not like a tree or something like that that's solid. These things are glowing, gases and light and things like that, and I have to try to come up with some semblance of a accurate depiction of that in rubber stamp form that's going to be imprinted in various colors and things like that. But all kinds of things happening here. Starbirth. Okay, now this one, I have an image. That's the title of this page right here. I have an image called Starbirth, and I'll show you where this one came from specifically. Okay, that's Starbirth. See these little pillars and columns growing like that. And that was from this one right here, okay? But see these little columns like that? I love this image. I think this one's a Hubble one, all right? But see, I've combined these types of pillars right here, it's this type of growing thing like that, with more of a starry space like that, because we have to be able to blend in additional tones into it, so I've given it that extra texturing up there. See these stars kind of growing like that out of there? This one right here. I love that image. You've probably seen this one before, way back in the day. I think it was sent back from Hubble. I'm not sure. And that's where this one comes from. This always might look kind of weird in terms of a cloud, but I made it solid, and it's inspired by this type of thing right here. This book's so huge. See that type of formation? This is the dark cloud right here. But see, I always kind of had it solid like that so we can use it in the foreground around background clouds or space types of imagery like that. See this right here? That type of formation. So you kind of stamp this out and you kind of create this little glowing, see this little glowing area down here? And that's that glow coming from underneath like that, where it kind of builds. Pleiades, yeah, this is the Pleiades right here. Okay, so the Pleiades is this cluster of young stars, and that's where star cluster came from. See this right here? And this one's always a type of issue, so I could have put it in black around there and transitioned it, but this image it's only so large, and I wanted these to be fairly significant in size, so I did it in tone as opposed to, I'm talking about surrounding tone. Let's see if I can get this focus in. And then the transitions aren't that extreme because it's kind of the same texture across there, but that's because, so I can take this and I can stamp it multiple times. And the more solid you make something, kind of the more separate it becomes, unless you want this to become a focal point and not to be, utilized so many times across the surface of the paper. But this one's inspired by the Pleiades, so this one's star cluster, and we can see those. I made these ones 8-point stars instead of 4, and yeah. But the secondary crosses are a little bit less significant, so it's like these vertical and horizontal ones that are a little bit larger, and like something like that. So I should do something I should just do some scenes that are just the sky, so I don't have to keep something so light so that I can put a silhouette of a tree in front of it. See these kind of turning arms like that, and how it kind of transitions and tapers off like that. But when you look at something like this, it's obviously spinning like this in this direction, and it's always kind of hard to kind of give movement to an image. So if I'm drawing something like a still lake or a waterfall, especially when you have moving water, waves, things like that, it's always hard to do something kind of in a mechanical process such as pen and ink, and to make those images look like they're moving or they're changing. And that's what the spirit is with things like trees and leaves and things like that. I want these things to look like they're, these are static images, but I want them to have kind of a spirit of movement and growth. Even if something's like a dead tree, it should look like it's weathered and it's kind of in the process of changing, and it changes in different ways. Like, depending on the branch, the size of the branch, the thickness of the branch, the trunk, the bark, etc. So, that being said, so something like this spiral galaxy, I want it to look like it's moving so that when we stamp it out, it has the spirit of this kind of movement happening. And I took forever on this design. This design took months to draw. Not straight through, I'd stop and kind of go back to it, but it was these transitions right here and how kind of heavy to make certain areas and light to make certain areas and to get that balance right. And of course the edges like this have to, blend in with the surrounding areas. So I had to make it dark enough where it's defined, but not so dark on the, the perimeter that it would be too defined when we stamp it out and it's hard to blend in. So, like I said, like something like a photograph, it has the benefit of having this just hard edge. They don't have to blend this image in with anything. So this is my solution right here, but I'll show you some different things like this. Here's this little other type. It's from a different angle. This galaxy. This one's this type of galaxy right here, but it's looking at it from the side, so you'd be able to see these spirals if you looked at it from a vantage point from up that way. Here's one kind of vantage point where you're looking directly down at it. It's really amazing. Okay, so this is like, this is the Milky Way right here. So this is the Milky Way and this type of thing. So that's where I came up with this, all right? You have this band coming down, and that's kind of representative of this type of area, so I kind of had to kind of break it up and make it look a little bit less static, okay? Because if we're going to be filling in some areas, I want this to be able to be stacked like this, okay? This is a much larger close-up, but you can see that type of thing happening right there, can't you? Like that. So this should be representative of any part within this, kind of stronger area of that band. So you can kind of stamp it down like that, and that, and that, if I was doing like a full-page scene. Otherwise, this one kind of fits in to a quarter-page card type of thing, the width of this right here. So anyways, you can kind of see the spirit of where this one came from. This is a good photograph to show that. Look at this. Here's another kind of spiral galaxy like that. See like that? Night phenomena. I have that Crescent moon stamp. Most moon stamps out there in the stamping industry are just full moons, but one of my favorite moons is just that crescent moon like that. So I have a crescent moon design. Let's go. Yeah, the sun like that. See this one right here? Let me get that image thing. But see this right here? Here's the solar eclipse right here image. But when that's where that came from right there, that type of thing. So as you use this one, you can do this kind of flare coming out, like a close-up view of it. You bring, so you just kind of bring the darker inks into it like this, okay? So that it kind of tapers off like that, into the distance. But I don't know. Now I just feel like doing celestial types of scenes today. I should. I do have a lot of theme things like that. I've done videos where I've just utilized those sky images like that. Here's the kind of that solar eclipse. I do have other moon things too, but this thing could be done. You can probably cut out some kind of mask like this. No, let me see. You would have to cut out these and then mask those. Or that would be the mask, and you can add this color around it. That would be really cool to do some kind of sequencing like that. So anyway, that's where these types of things have come from, these types of imagery, this type of night sky imagery from Stampscapes. And I don't know, I have a lot of fun using these things, and I've kind of just gotten back into using them a lot lately. With these tree types of things kind of spiraled around it, like we're kind of laying on the grass or something like that, looking up at the night sky, but instead of having just a few little stars or something like that, kind of in a more realistic sense, or like a little moon, I've been putting things like this that adds extra drama whimsy and, I don't know, just kind of a more dreamy type of scenario, visual scenario. So anyways, hope you enjoyed the video. If you've ever been curious, if you ever have any of these things, or you like these kind of night sky images, that's where these types of things have come from. All right, thanks for watching.